Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about surprising history of tobacco and its impact on environment. As you know, tobacco and the cigarette birds you see impacting to the river, to the birds, to the animals, and to the plants. So how it all started, and we see a lot of like a pollution from it. So we are going to talk about how in the history how it was and how it is today. So actually, let's start. So actually, in the 14th century or before, people used tobacco leaf. Like basically, tobacco is a plant. In Atlantic oceans, it was like a lot of cold in a -degree temperature. So people used to smoke with the tobacco leaf to get relaxation and to get relief. And it was used for a few other purposes as a medicine but suddenly like people around other areas seen like Spanish like first people from Spain come to that area and seen people are smoking, and then they started importing the tobacco leaf from that place to Spain and started cultivating tobacco into the Europe first. And surprisingly they try to make it as a product, or you can say. So once it tried to create as a product, and from there like Americans started that observing that, and they started taking it as a ritual, or like they started using the tobacco into the religious ceremonies. And from there you can say like they started observing, other countries also started observing it. So in France, the king at that time, there was king, and he used, when he observed people are getting relief, he had actually a headache, a lot of headache, and then he observed like people are getting relief. So he bring the tobacco from other places, and he got relief actually. And from there that people also started seeing that, treating it as a medicine and a recreational activity, so people started using it. And later on, similarly, like British, at that time like British was using it as a in the form of powder. So they were using as a powder. So in British, people were aware of it. So few only the it was seen as a novelty, like you can say, like people call it as a snuff powder. Tobacco powder was called as snuff at that time, and very few people had it, so it called as a novelty. So like at that time, like artists, the people who were the artists, and they created like a small boxes for storing the snuff. It was made of like a completely gold and silver for the rich people, and it was considered as a, like a royalty kind of thing. Then later on, like it started move toward like a working class, you can say. So once it transformed toward a working class, and at that time like there was like a lot of people in the working class who basically it was into a powder form. The tobacco was in a powder form, so like it was hard to use, and the production was not high, you can say. So it was difficult to use. So then into the developed countries, people tried to do slavery from the Africans, and they bring Africans into a ship to their places, and cultivated more cultivated more tobacco and made products, and so sell into the local market. And from there the working class started using tobacco, but yeah, it was not that popular, and it was into a form of powder. So then they turned it into a tube. So now you see, they wrapped it into a leaf, into a paper leaf, and use the plastic cover over it, and that is actually the more polluting part. So they just use it, and mixed into soil, and that's impacted the whole soil. And whenever birds come and eat it, they got harm, and the soil is already harmful. And when it reaches to the river, it is also getting infected from the plastic it go into it. But yeah, that was a point when the working class started using it. That was a point when the tons, like a lot of a lot of tobacco was created. But yeah, at that time also, like there was only like a limited people who were using, you can say. And then the commercialization of tobacco happened, and what they did is they created lot of ads and started advertising about into the all big events, like in US, into the sports, whatever the sports events happened at that time. They started the tobacco company started popularizing their product. And similarly into the other areas, they try to use it as a commercialization. So but at that time, like only like men were involved into that activities. But and what commercialization did is they created ad and women were smoking. So in that way, more of like a they tried to bring the more audience. And then women started using cigarettes, and the production of cigarettes happened more. And from that place, like uh, they the more of like a culture of cigarettes grown into the developed countries. And people started using into the open areas, into the public places. Then government realized, and they created like a separate zones for cigarettes. But yeah, still they the lot of plastic, like people just use it later on, just thrown into the roads, into the areas. And that actually impacted to environment a lot. So from there, from there, like it impacted a lot of places. But there is one good part also. It created a lot of employment for the people in like a lot of communities. And and from there, there was a lot of like a farmer community, so that was grown. And as right now, like there are around like millions of farmers into the US, Brazil, China, that are still like make able to make money just from the cultivating the tobacco. And India is still like a 10% who give contribution to the tobacco into the around the world. So it is a like a good way actually to grow the economy. And even at that time, like when it was traded in exchange of something, so people were able to run themselves, just trading the tobacco they get on into a particular village, and just exchanging with the developed countries. And in similar way, like it's seen as like a good point. But it impacted to the environment in like a bigger such way. So how we can actually manage it? So I feel like I seen few organizations who recycle plastic cigarette butts. So I will share it here, and so people can you connect with them and recycle it. And if they use uh, cigarettes or other things that are impacting on the environment. Thank you.